everyone, and welcome to another episode of Maine-ly Animals on LRTV. I'm your host, Bobby Silcott, and today we have an unusual show for you. It's all about reptiles and amphibians. In my experience in the animal field, there's a rescue for virtually every animal that's out there. Not many for reptiles and amphibians. So today we have two guests with us, Kaylee
Stalling.
Kaylee Stalling, thank you. And we have Denise, how are you?
Siri.
Siri, and I'm sorry that I mispronounced that.
That's okay.
Because it's in there. So one is the founding director.
I'm the founding director.
You are, yeah, and you were able to recruit
Yes.
Kaylee into this. Yeah, so here you are today. So before we get started, if you don't mind, just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into this.
Okay, so the way that we got into it, I actually have the lizard that started the rescue.
Yeah.
This is Maddie. He's a Molly Eurymastix.
Oh.
And we, my daughter and I found him. He was available for adoption at Petco. And when we went in and looked at him, he was one of the saddest lizards I'd ever seen. And he came.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And he came with his setup, but everything about it was wrong. It's like everything that you can imagine.
In that story, in the setting.
What they had him set up in was
Yeah.
wrong, and so we researched how to care for him. We did find a couple of really good sites, and we gave him the proper setup. We gave him UVB lights and high enough basking, and we fed him what he was supposed to eat. And within like a month or two, he had this like massive turnaround, and it made me realize that there's a lot of reptiles available that people don't know how to take care of. And you can just, go pretty much into any pet shop and buy a chameleon or a tegu or a bearded dragon or what have you, and nobody tells you how to care for them.
Right.
And so what ends up happening is people take them home and, at no fault of their own, they don't care for them properly, and then there was no place to surrender them if something happened.
Right.
Because I looked.
So they just languished in
They would just languish.
inadequate settings.
In inadequate settings, yeah.
No, we're not trying to blame the humans, but the fact is that it's easy to get one of these. My guess would be people would assume that maybe these are very low maintenance type of animals. Just kind of put them in the terrarium, give them a few crickets or whatever it may be, and forget about it. And that's probably what happens, but there's more to that.
More.
Yeah, could you talk maybe just a little bit about what it takes, for example, to maintain?
Well, what it takes to maintain Maddie is he has to have what's called a UVB light, and he has to have a fairly high, a light that has a fairly high UVB level. He has to have a really high basking area, and we get basking by using like halogen bulbs or incandescent bulbs or that sort of thing. And Euromastics need a basking area that's about 120 to 130 degrees.
Wow.
To digest.
Yeah.
Mostly to digest.
So around 120 degrees or so?
Yeah, 120 is the low end, 130 is the high end for their basking.
Yeah.
They need a really dry environment because these guys are an arid species, so they come from like the Middle East, where it's really dry. And they need a very varied diet. Lots of different vegetables, lots of different greens, flowers. Flowers are his favorite. He loves the summertime.
Flowers?
Yeah, flowers. He loves dandelions. Dandelions are one of his favorites. Dandelions and hibiscus.
Well, see, that shows a little bit, and I don't want to, stereotype anyone, but myself, I'm thinking you feed this thing crickets. That's not the case at all.
No, he does not get any insects at all.
Is that right?
These guys are primarily herbivores, so it's all 100% vegetable matter.
Really?
Yep.
How interesting. So, just to state again, these animals are all in the sanctuary. These animals are with
These
you
are
folks
all, yeah.
for perpetuity. They're there, and you're going to take care of them forever. And that's outstanding because I don't know about people out there watching, but I wouldn't think that there's a reptile amphibian sanctuary in Maine that can care for these animals for the rest of their life. I think that's extraordinary.
Right now we have over 200 sanctuary reptiles. Several stay with me, several stay with Kaylee, and then we have long-term fosters who take care of them. We pay for, do the setup, and then we'll pay for their vet bills, and the long-term foster pays for like food and that sort of stuff.
So how'd you get into this, Katie? What brought you on board?
So I'm a counselor, and I was doing in-home counseling with clients at the time, and I
You're
had
a counselor for humans.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes,
Okay.
and I had a lot of clients who had reptiles that were just not taking care of them, and they were dying, and they were not having the right setups, and I had reptiles growing up, and that was always a passion of mine, and I could tell, like, just from having my basic experience that they weren't being taken care of. And so I had tried to see if there was a reptile rescue in Maine, and I did a lot of research online, and I stumbled upon Herpaven, and so I sent a message asking if they needed any fosters, and I ended up being the first foster for Herpaven in November 2017. And so it's coming up on 4 years now. And
So that's how you got into it. You were a foster. We found him. You did a
I was
bunch
the
of
first
digging.
foster, for
Really?
Herpaven. So then we worked on creating a foster program and recruited a bunch of people. And
Well, I saw that. Denise, it's funny. It's not funny. I just think it needs to be more known that this exists. When I got looking at it, you guys have a foster network. And
Yeah.
It's not really unlike a dog or a cat rescue. And in addition to that, you guys are a 501c3.
We are.
Right?
Yep.
So you're able to take the big donations. Hopefully those come along
We are.
and folks can write those off. Hopefully that does
Yeah.
happen. 'Cause I think this is, you have such a niche here, if that's the right word, because you just don't think of amphibians or reptile rescues. And I just think this is wonderful. This is a great thing. I know you can go into some places, there are some stores around, like you say, you can go in and buy one of these, but after that, it's up to them.
It
And
is,
so
yeah.
maybe the final destination is with you folks. Is that right?
Well, some of them, because we do adopt out as well. It depends, like the reptiles that you'll see here, many of them have health issues.
Yeah.
So we can't adopt them out. It drastically, affects their life expectancy or the care that they need. They need extra care.
injections or oral antibiotics.
Or syringe feeding,
Yes, syringe.
or
So, we have a lot
that
of
sort of
special
stuff.
needs reptiles.
So those stay with us as sanctuary reptiles. We do have people that surrender who request that because I actually started as a sanctuary, not as a rescue, but then so many came in that it was like I ran out of space. It's like I have no other place to put anything. So started to recruit fosters, and then we started, for the ones that were healthy, adopting them out. And we adopt out with full setup. So they have the setup they need when they get adopted out.
Right, I saw that. It's a
Yeah.
fairly in-depth process, which I
It
think
is.
is appreciative. That's
Yeah.
that's good that you guys are going the extra mile to make sure that these animals are going to an appropriate
Yeah.
home. What's the life expectancy of some of these critters you've got here?
It's interesting because I think part of what happens with reptiles is people think they are very short-lived. And many of these guys can live for 15 to 20 years. So, at about the level of a dog. A lot of people think, reptiles live for a couple of years, like hamsters or mice or that sort of thing. But they don't. They actually have fairly long life expectancies if they're, well cared for. And they're given what they need.
And then I have some tortoises that will outlive me. So,
Well, yeah, we pass.
there's that end of things too, where people get a turtle or a tortoise and they think that they're only going to live, a certain amount of time in a small enclosure, and they end up getting a quarter-sized turtle. Like those used to be allowed here, and people would get them and they'd think, oh, they're going to just, grow to the size of their enclosure. But that's not true. The only reason they weren't growing was because they weren't providing the proper lights, the proper food, the proper diet. UVB, that's a huge thing that people never provide.
Could you explain what that means just briefly, UVB?
So it's going to mimic them actually being in the sun outside.
Ultraviolet?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Yep. And so a lot of times people will get them and they'll just give them a basking light so they can warm up, but it doesn't provide the same type of UVB that they would get out in the wild, and so it causes them a lot of damage to their bones and shells
I
and
can show you.
yes.
This is
Interesting.
what one looks like. So UVB is needed for them to be able to, it's the same with us. We get our vitamin D3 from our skin.
Right,
That's where they get their vitamin D3.
right.
So if they don't have it, they can't utilize the calcium that is in their, that's in their diet. So this is Iris.
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 Mhm.
Iris has metabolic bone disease. As you can see, her jaw is misshapen. She has a really badly misshapen tail.
And
Her arms are folded weird. That's from not having adequate calcium and not having the right type of
And how
diet.
did she end up with you and your care?
She was actually a transfer from another rescue.
Oh,
You're
so you're doing some networking out there as well, huh?
Yeah, we get a lot of, Zuri was also transferred to us, which is another story we'll get into after. But yeah, we get a lot of different shelters that will work with us because they have people trying to surrender reptiles and they don't have the setups for that, and so they'll reach out to us.
And that's typical for the average person. The shelter is kind of like the 911 for animals.
Yeah.
When
Exactly.
you have no other options, you take them there. And then
Yeah.
the shelter finds himself with one of these animals.
Yeah.
How old approximately do you know?
We don't know.
You don't know.
No, we don't know. A lot of times when they come in, and it's hard to tell because she's small, but she can be small because of not having adequate nutrition. So just like with humans, if humans aren't given adequate nutrition, like without D3, kids end up developing, I think it's rickets, where they have like soft bones, that sort of thing. It's the same way with these guys. So you have to be careful with that.
Wow, so interesting. And most of these I've never seen before myself. It goes to show that how just the lack of information out there, education there is for that.
Yeah.
So we were talking here just a few minutes ago, and you've developed some sort of an educational aspect to this here.
Yes.
Can you talk about that and maybe where you want to go and what the goal is? Do you want to get into schools and this type of thing?
We went to Saco this summer. We went to Paris this summer. We did the summer program for the Animal Refuge League and the summer program for the Animal Welfare Society.
Oh, yeah.
So we go there and we meet with kids and we tell kids about all the different reptiles that they have.
So if someone out there is watching, an educator wanted to maybe invite you into their school or their facility, how would they go about that?
They would just contact us.
Via the website,
Via the
Facebook?
website or Facebook.
Uh-huh.
We do ask for a donation.
Yeah.
I know that it was 2 years ago that we did Paris Elementary, and the kids did a donation drive beforehand for like 2 weeks.
Ah.
And they raised like 200
Like 200
and
something. Yeah, it was
$200,
it was awesome.
$60, I think.
That's a
Yeah.
good shot in the arm, huh?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So what's the farthest you would travel in the state? Is there a distance
We
from,
would
you're
go-
located in Brunswick, right?
Yeah, we're based in Brunswick. I mean, we don't really have any. We've gone literally everywhere. So it would have to be for education. It would need to be within Maine.
Right.
But for I've driven to Danbury, Connecticut to pick up surrenders.
Oh, yeah.
So we will.
It's for the
drive-
lack of organizations like yours, I
Yeah.
would guess. There's just not a
Yes.
lot of them.
No.
So you're
we're
covered
in-
here,
Yeah, we're pretty much the only nonprofit reptile-specific rescue in all of New England.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and exhausting sometimes. So, yeah, it is.
Yeah, I
It
can
is.
imagine
I love
it
what we
is. Yeah, that's inspiring. So what else have you got here for critters? Show us something
So
else
we'll
that
go
you got.
through. So we won't take out Maddie again because
Okay.
I touched a bearded dragon. Bearded dragons have a bacteria that can be fatal to uromastic. So once we handle a beardy, we don't touch Maddie.
So this is Simon. Simon had osteomyelitis in his arm,
Which translates to,
like a bone infection that was like eating away and continuing
is
to
that
go.
common? What are you talking about? Is it something different?
Metabolic bone disease is very common.
Yeah.
Osteomyelitis is somewhat common, but not like super
see.
common.
Yeah.
Usually we catch it soon enough that the antibiotics help. But
So his owner had brought him to the vet and they weren't able to afford the surgery, and so the vet had contacted us and said, hey, would you guys take this beardy in as like a sanctuary member and pay for the surgery? And so that's what we did, and so he lives with me as a sanctuary member full time, and he'll live with me until he dies. He was 7 in April, so he's getting towards the end of his life. So he has metabolic bone disease. As you can see, his jaw comes out further than the top of his mouth. That's another sign.
Oh, so it's like an underbite, so to speak.
It
Yeah.
can be either way. Either the jaws don't grow at the same rate, basically, is what it is.
But
We
he's
have
a pretty big beardy compared to the ones we normally get in. He's around 2 pounds.
Right. So how many, just if you happen to know, is there a variety of bearded dragons, or is there just like a bearded dragon, or is there?
There's 9 species of bearded dragons in Australia. The only ones that are legal to keep in Maine is the Pagona viticeps, which is what this guy is.
Ah,
So these are the only ones you're going to find in Maine.
ah. And I'm glad you mentioned that. If my memory serves me, the IF&W, Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, has a link on their website
They do.
with a list of animals that's permissible to have in the state. The list doesn't say what's banned. It says what's permissible. Is that
unrestricted,
correct?
correct.
So if it's on the list, you can have it. If it's not on the list, you can't have it.
Correct.
Unless you have a permit. Like, because we have several restricted species. I have a sulcata, you have a sulcata. We have
Red-eared sliders.
Yeah, red-eared sliders, map turtles, iguanas. You have iguanas.
Yep.
So you work with IF&W to get the permit
Yes.
to have those?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, interesting. It sounds like you guys going the extra mile. I think that's incredible. That's really incredible that you're doing that.
So we
So
have
the bearded dragon.
Yep.
another one. This is another one actually that has metabolic bone disease as well. This is a leopard gecko. So these are probably the 2 most popular
Bearded dragons and leopard
bearded dragons
geckos.
and leopard geckos are the 2 most popular reptile pets you're going to see. But this is Gonzo. If you notice,
Gonzo?
Gonzo.
Love it, love it.
If you notice Gonzo's jaw, the bottom part of it,
Yes.
yeah, she's very handsome.
Gonzo's a she.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Any idea of the age of Gonzo?
Gonzo is about between 4 and 5 now.
I think so. Yep.
Yeah, because the people that surrendered because she does have to be fed, like hand fed. But she gets along really well. That's about the only thing. It didn't affect her arms or her legs, which it often does.
So I imagine there's a variety of these as well.
There are.
You
Yeah,
don't
no-
have any little green talkie ones that tries to sell people
No,
insurance.
no, that's
Or
it.
that's not real, is it?
No, that isn't. But
It isn't.
it's based on the day gecko. So,
Oh.
so you can buy a day gecko, which looks very similar to that.
Gonzo's very cool. And I have to ask, so the
Yeah.
names, do you have like a naming department, or you just have a list?
No,
Or?
I fostered Gonzo, and he reminded me of that little critter. So I was like, okay, Gonzo's the name
Right.
for that one.
Right.
But yeah, we try not to have the same names because
Right.
Gets confusing.
Yeah, we get hundreds
Yeah.
and hundreds of reptiles. So
Ooh, there you
Yeah.
and that's what's fun about having our fosters name them too, is they come up with creative things that they're into. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So leopard geckos are very, very popular.
yes.
They're a fairly easy reptile to keep. They don't require UVB. It can be beneficial, but it's not something they require, but they do require heat. And they are obligate insectivores, so they only eat insects, nothing else.
As
So-
opposed to Maddie.
As
who is
opposed
a
to Maddie, who only eats vegetable matter.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, very interesting. So what have you got next?
So this is Jewel. Jewel is a very popular one of our lizards that goes to our educational event. Not one you're going to see very often. She is a Schneider's skink. Jewel came to us it's been about 3 years, and was extremely emaciated, like paper thin. She was so skinny. And we had to syringe feed her for a bit. She's another one who's primarily a carnivore. She eats mostly insects. She will occasionally eat some fruit. She's not really big on vegetables or greens, but she does like the occasional blueberry or raspberry.
Oh,
But she does require UVB. She requires a fairly warm area. She is a desert species. One of the interesting things about this species is they have 3 specialized scales on their ears
oh yes.
that keeps sand from getting in their ears when they're burrowing. Sand and dirt, because they spend majority of their time burrowed. All skinks kind of look like, snakes with legs. They're burrowing. They're terrestrial. So we have a couple of snakes. Yep, I'm about to.
We have snakes.
We do. We have 2.
Right.
So this one's really interesting. This is one that we get calls from IFW or the animal control officers often. People finding reptiles loose in Maine that are obviously not a native species. This is Petunia. Petunia is a western hognose snake.
Western hognose.
If you notice her, she has a little upturned nose, which is how they get their name hognose. There's two types of hognose. There's the western, which is this type, and then there's the eastern, which you would actually see in the wild in like Pennsylvania. But these guys come from, obviously, the western United States. These guys are actually mildly venomous, but they are a rear-fanged snake, so they'd actually have to chew on you in order to envenomate you.
Some people's worst nightmare, being chewed on by a hognose snake.
Plus, they're in the wild, they eat primarily frogs and toads, so that's where they get their venom. They're not as venomous in the wild because we don't feed them frogs and toads, we feed them mice.
Right. Now, is this a permissible snake to have in the state?
Yeah, this is. So Petunia was actually found loose in Waterville. Just like on the side of the road, a guy saw her and was like, hey, that's not a native snake. And took her in, and we say her or he, but we don't know with the snakes.
Right.
It's a guess.
Right.
But took her in and contacted IF&W, and IF&W contacted us, and we went and got her.
Outstanding.
Yeah, she's very sweet. Very, very sweet.
Unusual markings. I mean, I'm not.
She's a morph, you know, so a morph are the gecko is a morph as well. They're different color patterns, kind of like different breeds, different color patterns.
So if someone's wondering at home, what do we have for snakes in the state of Maine? We got garter snakes or something
I think there's 9 species of snakes. So you have
that are native to Maine.
That are native to Maine. You have, I'm not going to be able to remember well.
Yeah.
There's a water snake, the northern water snake. There's the black racer. There's the garter snake. There's the milk snake, the DK brown snake, the ringneck snake.
Is the red belly different than a ring?
No, red belly snake. Green snake. There's one I'm missing.
There's one we're missing. But
There's one I'm missing. There's always one.
How about corn snake? No.
No corn snakes. No. Not the
we have
closest.
milk snakes, which often people confuse for corn snakes.
I see.
But no corn snakes.
Yeah. Wow. What do you got there?
This is a ball python. So this is another really popular snake that you're going to see. We
In
get
Maine?
these not in Maine as
No,
pets.
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
as pets in Maine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
These guys have something like 6,000 different morphs. So you're going to find them in all different colors. All different colors. This is just a normal or a wild type. She's actually going to foster when I leave here. But the foster's on the way. Doesn't live far from here.
Uh-huh.
So that's why this one came.
Right.
So this is a ball python. We get these quite often. Often we get them because they're not feeding. Ball pythons are very particular about their setup. And so they need to have like specific temperature gradient with a warm end around 90 and a cool end around 70 to 75. They have to have a lot of different hides. They need very specific setup. If they don't feel safe, they're not going to eat. So.
So what the average person, where do they get these at? Where do the folks?
You can get them at Petco, PetSmart. You can go to the.
Is that right?
Yeah, you can go to the reptile expos. You can order them online. I mean, you can get them anywhere. We're not a big fan of ordering online. We don't like the idea of
I'm not either.
shipping reptiles.
Yeah,
We're not a
I'm
huge
not
fan
either.
of that, but.
Yeah. Is there any chance that I could?
Oh, absolutely. She's a little chilly because she doesn't have her heat with her, and she may wrap. Because
that's
that's
fine.
what they do to
She can
to
keep her
stay
warm.
warm. And while
Yes.
you have her, I'll take
She
out.
is quite chilly.
Yeah, she's okay though, because reptiles are, of course, cold-blooded.
Now, do they recognize you? They recognize your
can.
voice?
They
know who
really
you are?
can. Yeah,
They do?
They can.
That's outstanding. That is wonderful. I can't get over this, like, iridescence, reflective, and it's almost translucent. I don't know what the right word is, but the color of that, it almost changes. That is just fascinating.
So she has a weird thing on her, which is why she's going to foster. She'll stay with us. We don't know what it is. We've taken her to the vet.
Is that something I just felt there on
Yeah,
the...
on the belly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, see that right there? It almost looks like a surgical scar on her belly. We don't know what it is. We've taken her to the vet, and that's actually why she was surrendered. What we think it is, after going through the enclosure that came with her, which isn't staying with her, there were places where there were screws sticking out, like just the tiniest bit. And we think that she kept just going over them, that she caused that sort of, so it's basically a scar from like the nails and screws sticking out in her.
So whoever had it just didn't realize that was happening.
Yeah.
Something so insignificant. It appears that way, but
Yeah.
yet it can have an effect on them. It's just fascinating.
When we get these guys in, when they go into like setups, like their hides, all of that, we go through the entire thing and feel it over to make sure that there aren't any,
Right.
Sharp pieces or places where they can, hurt themselves.
It's fascinating. So how often do these things shed?
It depends upon the snake, but usually like 4 to 6 times a year.
And that means
Younger
they're growing
ones.
every time they shed?
Yeah, snakes never stop growing. Their growth slows down, but they never stop completely.
Does that depend on the environment, their diet? So
It's just them. That's just how snakes are.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they grow all the time.
yeah.
They do slow down quite a bit, but the shedding is to help,
Right.
keep their scales.
And what's the diet consist of?
Rats, mice.
What type of, do they have to be live? Do you have to?
No,
No.
none of our snakes eat live. We transition all of them over to what are called frozen thawed. So we order them from a company, Rodent Pro, and they send them to us like in bulk. And then we take them out and we thaw them overnight in the refrigerator and then stick them in hot water.
Mm-hmm.
And then they take them. We've not had, knock on wood, not had an
Yeah.
issue, because many of them come in having been fed live, and often have scars because mice and mice and rats will fight back if they're cornered.
Well, yeah, makes sense to me.
This is Jasper. We love Jasper.
Jasper.
Jasper is a red tegu who's also a little bit sleepy. Everybody's going to be a little sleepy
Right.
because it's chilly.
And again, for folks that are just joining us,
Yeah.
these are members of your sanctuary. They're with
Yes.
you until they're no longer here. Is that correct?
Yes,
They're staying
correct.
with you.
Yes.
Well, look at it. It looks like it's smiling from here. It looks like it's a huge smile.
So she's not fully grown yet. She'll still get a little bit bigger. We have a red tegu that stays with Kaylee, who is about 4 feet long.
Really?
So they get big.
He's big.
They
Ah.
get big,
He's a big boy.
but she's not quite as big.
So
Right.
originally, Jasper was surrendered as a boy, and
Yeah.
so that's why the name is Jasper.
Jasper, yeah.
But Jasper is actually a female. So
Jasper's a female. She was surrendered for being impacted. She hadn't gone to the bathroom or had stopped eating and wasn't doing well. So
Oh,
we
how
got her.
horrible.
We got her all turned around.
Mm-hmm.
We have another black and white tegu that I keep. It's a male, but his name is Priscilla because he was surrendered as a girl, but not a girl. So.
They used to have a big one named Priscilla, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that name. So what's the diet?
These guys are omnivores, so they eat pretty much anything, and they will literally eat anything.
Is that right?
I know that there's a red tegu called MacGyver, who has like Instagram or whatever, and I think she feeds them like pizza and that sort of stuff. Don't feed them pizza. Don't,
Right.
don't-
Yeah, that
they should
doesn't-
not eat that.
No, it doesn't sound quite right. But they'll eat it. If you put it in front of them, they'll
Yeah,
eat it.
they pretty much eat anything, but we do feed mice, quail. There's a company called Reptiles that make reptile sausages, or sausages for reptiles.
Not sausage out of reptiles.
No.
They feed the
Yeah,
sausage.
they're for, and so they're a mix of like different meats and insects and vegetables and
Really?
fruit. Yeah.
So it's kind of a smorgasbord
Yeah.
and a sausage.
And a sausage.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they get those. They get quail eggs. One of our fosters raises quails, so they get quail eggs. Dubia
Dubia roaches, earthworms, that type.
Yeah, hornworms.
Hornworms.
Very,
So insects and
Insects and lots of fruits and vegetables.
Yep.
These guys can eat a lot of fruit.
very interesting. Any idea of the age?
I do, because she was about 2 when she was surrendered, or almost 2. So she was surrendered 2 years ago, so she's between 4 and 5.
And again, 15 to 20 years or something like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
you think is,
Yep.
yeah. Is that average, or do you think, or is that?
Unfortunately not as average, especially with bearded dragons, because what's happened with bearded dragons and leopard geckos actually, and ball pythons, they've interbred them so much to get all the different colors and the different morphs and that sort of stuff, that it's starting to affect their health. Like bearded dragons are developing something called gastroneuroendocrine tumors, which drastically cuts their life expectancy by 2/3.
Oh my
it's
goodness.
Really, it comes on really quick. It's a really
And that's
quick.
from breeding.
It's
poor breeding.
Poor breeding.
Yeah.
There's lots of poor breeding that goes on.
People out there, they'll
These
do
guys.
anything to make a buck, won't they? It's
Yeah.
unfortunate. Thank God for folks like you to help out. It wasn't all that long ago that I discovered you guys, and I was like, I had to take a double take because, you know, you're the only one in New England, and in Maine, such a cold weather state up here, you know, amphibians and reptiles don't come to mind, I guess, all the
Right.
time. And I've been an animal control officer for 15 years, and I don't
there,
recall.
we get animal control officers contacting us a lot now, or like we get cases that from state seizures and stuff like that. We get that more so now than, because I think reptiles have become way more available to the public. So
Is that recent years? Does
Yeah.
COVID have something to do with that too?
I'm not quite sure. I think, pet stores started selling, like you used to go in and maybe see like a turtle and like maybe a lizard.
Right.
But now you have like all these different, like chameleons and stuff, they're so hard to take care of, but the pet stores sell them and people don't get the proper info on them. So it's
They rely
frustrating.
on that impulse buy.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, somebody's about to shed.
Yep.
Oh, look at this guy.
So
Now, how do you know it's
He's
about
about
the
to
shed, if you don't mind?
He's really kind of grayish
Yeah.
looking.
yeah, and he tends to shed in
I see what you're
patches.
saying,
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So he
Yeah.
gets. That's how we know when Zura's about to.
So
Zuri's
Zuri,
Zuri,
yes, Zuri is one of our sanctuary savanna monitors. He came to us 3 years ago, so he's at least 5. We aren't sure on an actual birthday or anything because he was found outside in Berwick, which
Really?
Yeah. So I guess an elderly woman had called the police because she thought there was an alligator outside. And so they came over to take care of it. And so it's pretty funny because like he's a little celebrity. He was all over the news, like for being an alligator that was found. And
to their relief, there was an alligator.
yeah, they were definitely, they saw the humor in it. And
Yeah.
so they contacted the Animal Welfare Society, who obviously,
In West Kitty Bunk?
yeah, they weren't able to care for something like this. So they
Right.
contacted us and we took him in, and I've been fostering him ever since. He came in with a broken hand right here, if you can see. See how it's really swollen? So that's an
yeah,
old...
there's a big difference there, yeah.
Yeah, there's an old break there, and then this is a lot better. We still sometimes put silver cream on it, like a antibiotic, because this was a huge burn, and it like went down to the bone.
And it went from here.
Yep, it went. So as you can
okay.
see, it's healed, but there's some white right here
So when
showing.
you say burn, you mean like from a heat source?
Yeah.
Or,
So
really?
they didn't have like the correct lights or whatever it was, and he was able to get too close to them because they require a really high.
That's a missing part of his
Yeah,
tail.
he's also missing part of his tail. So he had quite the journey before he came to us, but he's been a part of our sanctuary. He helps us do educational events. He's really friendly, whereas a lot of them are not. So we do get.
See, he makes quite an impression.
Yes.
You pull him out of there, whoa.
Yeah.
So the monitor, I mean, those things get, there's,
Yeah.
I don't know how many varieties of them are, but this ain't like Galapagos Island monitor lizard, is it? It's
No.
not,
Komodo dragon, no.
yeah, come on, thank you.
It's
yeah.
related. They are related.
They are,
Yeah.
yeah? Oh, that kind of makes sense still, yeah. Very cool.
And then Oscar is in his 30s. We're not exactly sure how old. We know he's at least like 32, 33, probably older. But he is another reptile who did not have the correct setup, the correct lights, the correct diet, the UVB, which is why he has all this pyramiding. Should not be like this. This should be flat.
Oh, so that's abnormal.
Yes. So he is all squished together. And as you can see, his mouth is really messed up.
I do see that, yes.
Yeah. So we had brought him to the vet, and it was so soft from having metabolic bone disease that our vet wanted us to wait and see if it would harden so he could try to clip it. So Oscar, when he was surrendered, he had some like paralysis in the back legs where he couldn't really move them.
Oh my goodness.
But as you can see, we've been working really hard, and he's a lot more active than he used to be, especially when he's outside. He can grip on the grass and get around a little bit more. And
Now, is this, are they drawn to water? Is this
So nope, this is a tortoise. This is a redfoot tortoise. It doesn't look like one, but it is. So he, I give him baths several times a week, and he'll drink water, and he has a water dish in his, that he can kind of get inside, but he, for the most part, is a land tortoise. They can't like swim. Yeah, but he eats vegetables, fruit, and a small amount of protein.
Now, how much you think he weighs? A few pounds?
I'd say probably, because T is about 10 pounds.
And he's really small, so
I would say maybe 5.
5
And
maybe.
he's 30 years old. Now, what's a typical size for a 30-year-old?
Well, usually it depends. I have a redfoot that stays with me named T, who is only 10. No, I guess he's like 13 now. That is much bigger, but he has pyramiding. He was only fed dry cat food for the first 9 years of his life. In order to get him,
right?
in order to get him to eat salad and greens and the stuff he's supposed to, I used to have to mix in like a teaspoon of Fancy Feast into the salad to get him to eat salad, and then slowly like mix less and less in. And so now he'll eat it fine now without an issue. People get them and they don't recognize just there's specific care that each species needs. Each species is very different. So the redfoot, she's going to show another one that is a Herman's?
Yeah.
Herman's tortoise.
Herman's?
A
Yeah.
Herman's tortoise
Yeah.
that has very different care.
So looking at this tortoise, you would think it is in really excellent condition, which is what we thought too. But a few months ago, he actually threw up, which they shouldn't really be able to do, which showed that there was a sign of something wrong. And so when we brought him to the vet for x-rays, it showed that he has fluid all around his heart. So even though he looks the healthiest, like he still didn't have, the best care or the best, however he was bred. Sometimes there's not the best breeding practices. There's a lot of like inbreeding and stuff like that, which, will shorten his lifespan. He's on furosemide for a diuretic twice a day, which seems to be slowly helping, but he still has a lot of fluid around his heart. So he's only 4 years old, which is really sad because, he should he should be living a lot longer than that. So he's making him run for it.
Yeah, making a mad dash, ain't he? You're going to do a burnout here and bat turn
Really gonna
180
see
here.
I want to see Oscar.
So approximately how many animals do you have up for adoption currently? Do you?
I don't know. We have a little over 50 in foster. Some of them have just started foster. We do a minimum 30-day foster period for lizards and tortoises, turtles, that sort of stuff. And then the 60-day minimum foster for snakes, because we want to make sure they're eating and shedding and all of that sort of stuff.
Right.
And once they're finished with their foster period, the foster actually has the first option to adopt.
So foster failure is a real possibility.
It's
In a good way.
It's a good way, right?
Yeah.
It's common. And to be honest, I'm perfectly okay with it.
Right.
Because our goal is to find them, their forever home. And if it happens to be with a foster, that's good because we don't have to move them. Reptiles don't do well with lots of transitions. It can be stressful for them to go from one home to another home.
Right.
So, and we've actually had a couple of snakes and a couple of other lizards that have come back because they didn't transition well to their adoptive home.
Oh, yeah. So you've got arrangements, you've got a pre-agreement, I guess you have agreement
Yes.
going
Yeah.
into it, if there's an issue. You
Yeah.
want them to contact you,
Yeah.
you want to get them back
And
to you.
it's
Yeah.
been pretty successful. Like we don't have people return reptiles, but when they do, they typically have always contacted us, which has been really awesome.
Yeah.
That they, read the agreement and they follow it, and yeah.
Right. So what are your needs right now? Do you have needs right now that,
We always have needs. A lot
I
of,
can imagine, yes.
well, the big thing right now are hides, like hides and water dishes. Or
Hides,
Hides, like that's a hide, like what the snake has. Reptiles
oh,
need
I see,
hides.
an environment for them to,
To like go hide
I
it.
see,
Yeah, hide
yeah,
it.
so it's just
So
that. yeah.
hides and water dishes, we go through a lot of water dishes.
What is the most challenging part of this venture that you've gotten yourself into?
I would say the most challenging part are people waiting too long when their reptile needs help,
For seeking help.
for seeking help. If your reptile needs vet care and you're not able to afford it, please reach out. We recently had a red tegu that was surrendered, and the person drove all the way up from Massachusetts, and he actually wasn't the original owner. He had gotten it from the original owner, not realizing what bad shape it was in. And it had such a severe impaction that there was like literally nothing we could do for
No.
it. If it
And that had been an ongoing issue, that didn't just happen overnight.
No.
And we did the surgery hoping, maybe it would survive it, and it died after the surgery. So.
Yeah. How about you, Kelly? What do you find? What's the biggest challenge?
What I would like people to do is try to make sure they're researching before they get a reptile, because a lot of times they do so much damage before they're ready to surrender it. Like Denise had said, I think people don't realize the importance of having the correct UVB, and pet stores try to educate people, but a lot of times it's not the correct, most up-to-date information, and so they sell them things that aren't actually providing what they need.
Yeah, if you have questions, if there's something going on and you're not sure, what's going on with your reptile, please reach out. We answer people's questions all the time.
Or if you are looking into getting a reptile and figuring out which one might be the best fit for you and your family, we also can try to help steer you. And
Right, because we have another program, the Foster to Adopt program, which is, let's say, like for example, we have a family in Cumberland whose daughter was interested in getting a snake, but they weren't sure that it was really going to be a good fit. So right now they're fostering to adopt to see if if having a snake is going to be a good fit for their family. A lot of times people think, especially with like things like snakes are a big one, or tortoises, because tortoises can be really loud, which is surprising. You wouldn't think that, but they can be really
they
loud.
bang a lot.
They bang a lot. They're destructive.
He's not so much because he's special needs, but the rest of them
are very usually very loud. And so this gives you the opportunity to kind of test drive test drive a
Right.
reptile pet
Sure.
to see if it's a good fit, because
Right.
it's not, right now reptiles have a really big popularity for people. So that's part of why we've seen a huge increase in surrenders, huge increase over the past like 2 years.
Really?
So, yeah.
So you obviously take a lot of these animals in, you provide everything they need for them. What about owner retention? Do you try to work on, so if somebody's like, hey, they reach out, I really love this animal, I want to keep it, but I'm having issues, I don't know this, but is food really expensive for these crews? So
it
can you
depends.
provide food for
We
someone?
can't. That's one of the things that we can't do. As much as I would love to be able to, we've had people reach out asking for help with vet bills and that sort of stuff.
Right.
Our vet bills run about $25,000 a year.
Wow.
For the ones that come in, as well as our sanctuary reptiles. We would not be able to take on
Right.
additional sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
as much as I would love to be able to have that type of funding, we don't.
Yeah.
Um,
A lot of
it's-
stuff gets paid out of pocket when we don't have donations by us. So
Yeah.
Right, right. So we want to encourage donations here
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
That's obviously money. That way you can use it on what
Yeah.
you feel is the greatest need at the time. to do
Usually
that.
vet bills.
vet
are
bills
fun.
are
Yeah,
that's-
we do. We spend a lot on, we have an awesome vet in Yarmouth Veterinary Center.
Oh, yeah, very familiar with them.
Yeah, Dr. Peter Smith and Dr. Zach Smith, who see all of our reptiles,
Oh,
not all of
nice.
them.
Yeah.
The reptiles that need to be seen.
Which is right down the road from where you're based.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, they're awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
So on the opposite side of the challenge, what's the most rewarding part of this for you?
I get to spend every day with reptiles. It's awesome. I can't even. It's reptiles are just amazing.
Oh.
They're amazing, and
So
we
you
get
get
to have.
therapy out of this, so to
We
speak?
do. We get to have, just see so many different types that a lot of people don't. I love doing the educational part. I love sharing it with people and like watching like kids, like, because it's kind of funny. We have we have lots of snakes, but we have some really big snakes that are 9-foot boas, and we have like a blood python. She's only like 5.5 feet, but she weighs like 30 pounds. She's a big snake. And like the adults are always like, oh, but the kids are so enthralled with her.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, can I hold her? You have like little 5 or 6-year-olds like, can I hold Gertrude? It's like, no, dear, you can't hold Gertrude.
Yeah, a lot of people get over their fear of snakes too, and
Yeah.
you know, a lot of adults are afraid of snakes. They didn't
Right.
have those type of interactions when
Right.
they were young.
Right.
So-
And they think of them as these slimy critters, and they're anything
they're not
but.
even slimy. Yeah, they're
No.
not slimy. That's a
Right.
huge thing. Everybody always says that. Like, oh, I expected them to be slimy.
Right.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the biggest things is, I love like the rehab part of it and like watching them get better. And that doesn't always happen because a lot of times people surrender when they're on their deathbed. But I think, a lot of the times it does work out and we are able to rehab them. And I think that's pretty cool.
It's fantastic. I can see the passion in both of you for this, and I believe that's what it takes. I can't thank you guys enough
Thank
for
you
coming
for
up
having
Yeah,
us.
here.
thank
It's been
you.
fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Education's the key to this stuff with animals, with
It
a lot
is.
of people. My experience has been that most people want to do the right thing. They just need a little coaxing, or they need a little education, a little encouragement, just to get that done.
Right.
And
Agreed.
so hopefully that folks will realize, hey, it's okay to reach out. Nobody's
Yeah.
going to judge you by reaching out. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. This has been one of the more inspiring episodes I think I've ever done, because we just don't typically think about reptiles and amphibians and the care that it takes for them and their suffering as well. So
Peter did just.
thank you very much for joining us on this episode of Mainly Animals on LRTV, and we'll see you next time.